Welcome in, dear ones. Maverick Mystic here from the Spiritual Society. And today's reading is going to be about what you need to hear right now. What is it that you need to hear at this moment? What insight do you need to receive? And remember, our mission here at the Spiritual Society is to help guide you to unblock your energy through spiritual practices such as these, our tarot readings, and allow you to live your most aligned life. Thank you for being here. And so, what we shall do now is lay out the cards in 4 piles. And just as we arrive here, just begin to drop into this space. Allow yourself to be open and curious. Allow yourself to be in a receptive state so as to receive those insights that can guide you with what it is that you need to hear right now. And so open up that space, take a nice deep breath, and choose whether it's rune 1, 2, 3, or 4. Choose what resonates most to you, and we shall begin your reading today. So, welcome in card 1. Begin your reading today. Let us start with setting aside the rune. We will come back to the rune oracle shortly. But first, let us begin with a look back for context at some of the elements to be aware of, to be conscious of, that have happened potentially in the past, to give us some sense of direction for what may be coming or what may be beneficial for you to be aware of ahead. And so let us start first with these 3 cards. So first I'm seeing with the 8 of Swords, an intellectual capacity, in particular around writing. I'm seeing something that you may have been either attempting to do or engaged in. It's in the intellectual capacity, in particular writing. Maybe some struggles with this creatively, some blocks potentially. Could be the context of your work that you've done up to now, and having seen some success with this writing skill. So communication is coming up very strong here. This is in context and in relations to the King of Wands, the aggressive father, as the archetype here. There potentially could have been a male figure in your life that could have been asserting himself in certain aspects to do with your work. So that it could be that context. Could also be a mentor. Could be your boss. It could be someone of authority that is in your life. Could be having a positive or a negative effect in relation to writing in some context. This also could simply mean your father. It could be your father has an influence over you to this day, or has been a great inspiration and support for you in the past. That could be what's coming through here. This could also mean, in the context of the Two of Pentacles, we're talking about reorganization, and we're talking, the material realm here. We're talking there's a recognition for something that's been created in the past, whether it's from your father or yourself. There is an endeavor that's it's ambitious. Even individual genius is associated with this activity, and again, the context of the past we're referring to here. So this is really coming back to, in the past there was some dynamically inventive person that brings about some kind of fundamental change, positive change, and credit has been received. This is the second, the Two of Pentacles. That's what it's telling us. So literary, intellectual capacity, the element of air, with the father figure there, authoritative figure, passionate person, a mentor, or even your father, and a reorganization in the material earth element here, in the material realm. Could be the legacy, where you've come from, the actions of your father, potential writer's block. There's some element there of the writing creative element. Okay, so that's the context for what has been. Now, as we look forward to what is it that you need to know at this time. So we're having the element of air is coming strong with the swords, and it's 3 cards of swords, with the 7 of swords here. We also have the Prince of Swords and the 3 of Swords. So what do you need to know? Well, the 7 of Swords is the card of love. It's the card of love. It's almost perfect happiness, and I guess what a great way to describe love if we were to talk to aliens. Well, what is love? Perfect happiness, right? So that's a really positive card. You know, within the capacity or the realm of love, there are many things, but for me, this is saying, especially in relation to the Prince of Swords, is a really beautiful union. Okay, a union, which is really lovely. And it's, of course, the prince is graceful, charming, a romantic young man, an idealist. Um, that's what coming through for me. Something for you to be aware of. Blonde, okay, the color yellow. Some of the things to bear in mind and keep your eyes open for. There's definitely a sense of idealism about this. Okay, so it's going to be very exciting. And idealism, you know, there is an element of naivety, youthful naivety, but, you know, who doesn't enjoy experiencing that every now and then, especially when we're aware and we're conscious of that. I don't see there being any problems with having an element of naivety, but not too much, of course, but conscious awareness of an exciting future, a romantic and idealism. This is the archetype of the Three of Swords, is idealism. There is, because of this idealism, also, I think, associated in particular to the relationship element here, is a sort of resistance to the norms, like, you know, resistance to marriage. It could be the conversation revolving around a union that isn't condoned by the government, let's say. So that's the sort of idealism that's coming from this card for me. And this really ties back, I think, there's a through line here with the creative endeavor. I think there's an inspirational, youthful inspiration coming to you. Maybe even this could be in the context of an idealistic vision for your writing and your creativity. You know, for example, going from a book, a fact-based book, to a fantastical fantasy book, or a novel. That could be the through line there. Definitely a creative endeavor. But all in all, this lay for me is very positive. It's exciting. It's creative. and I really like that, and I love the through line that it's presented. So let us take a look now and add a little bit more context, a little bit more detail to this. Let's draw one more from here. Okay, so the Wheel of Fortune, it's the archetype, the mother archetype, but symbology of this is really fate. Spin the wheel and whatever lands is your fate. So there's an element of fate involved in what's to come. That's what I pick up here. So what is to come generally, therefore, is of good fortune. I would say that this is, again, as I said, positive. That's what the feeling I was getting when I drew this was very positive, charming, exciting, young, new, idealistic. And this card coming up as it did layers in that positivity as good fortune, favoring this what is to come. Now, let us add a little bit of a dynamic context into this reading now and finish up with the Nordic rune, and let's see what it has to say to us today. So, okay, this is the rune Elhaz, and Elhaz is the rune of rebirth and renewal. So, the structures that were, okay, not a this is about breaking down those structures that were, creating new ones. And so whatever that was, there was a stifling that was happening, and this rune is pointing towards the renewal, the fresh, the exciting thing to come. So big change, renewal, big change. This also advises us to become one with ourselves, harmony with your surroundings, office, a new office, nature, an inspirational place to write, something like that. But find harmony in yourself and your surroundings. Ultimately, this is reminding us, it's definitely a reminder that we are capable of more than we can even imagine. And, we're not alone in that. We all have this potential. It's encouraging us to reach and believe that we are capable of so much more. It's really a really powerful rune. And if we're to do the Jungian shadow and light aspect of this reading of this particular rune, on the light side, it signifies a happy success of a plan. Okay, so again, fate, success, in its upward positive light side is a happy success of a plan. If that were to be on the negative side, or on the dark side, the shadow side, upside down, then it would be telling us that isolation is what is causing our blockage, our suffering, our pain. And so a reminder, harmony with your environment, your surroundings, and to avoid isolation. And I think that is a beautiful way to conclude this reading. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you once again. And don't forget to drop a crown in the comments to let us know if you found this insightful. Okay, welcome in. Card number 2. Let us explore today and gain some insights about what it is, the one thing that you need to know at this time. And just begin to arrive, settle yourself into this reading, and be open, curious to what we may receive today. And so we'll begin with putting to one side the rune card. Okay, this rune card, we'll come back to it later in the reading and its significance in today's reading. But first, let us just begin with the context of something that we're coming from the past, something that would help us to orientate us and to give us a sense of direction when it comes to really exploring what it is today that the one thing that you need to know. Okay, all right, so let us look at these cards. In the Three of Pentacles, the archetypal description of this card is a response to a conflict. So here it involves changing a social structure in a home or in a work situation. Okay, this may be the result of trouble through the family or early life. So sort of family disruption. In particular, this is to do with the father, disruption in the family structure, in particular around the father. It's an interesting psychological card, this one, as it references the early childhood experiences, and how they tend to shape us as we grow up. So there is definitely some early childhood disruption coming through with this card. Next, the emotional space, the element of water, as represented by the Six of Cups here, is talking about the care of the family unit, emotional support. So, in relation to the disruption experiences in early childhood, it suggests to me that there was a need for you to support, care for members of the family. There was a sacrificial element to that role that you had to play. The archetype of this is sympathetic attachment. So there is a sense of attachment potentially to the material realm that maybe have to be acknowledged for you, particularly the material objects. As I said, there is an attachment for sure to material objects, which may be associated to early childhood memories. So it could be that level of attachment. Just attachment can be okay, can be healthy, but it has to be. You have to be careful. You have to monitor it, and when it taken to the extreme, it could be almost masochistic in its manifestations. Okay, so sort of be aware of that. Hoarding is coming up for some reason in that card. So let's see how this plays into the context with the divine sun. It could be an association here with a brother, a younger brother, but also more esoterically, I would say this card is pointing at consciousness, both rooted in the past and an acknowledgement of the future, as above, so below. There is an emergence of consciousness here. There is a bright spark element. There is also potentially something that you've always been aware of but haven't been able to put words to. There could have been something that in your life that you felt made you maybe different or possessed of certain knowledge that you couldn't quite put your finger onto or share with others. And I think that's the seed point of what is to come today and the rest of the reading. So we're going to look forward now, and the thing to know for today and the context of that, as is shown in these three cards with Temperance, Two of Cups, a lot of feminine energy here, and the Princess of Swords. Now, the Princess of Swords she's in the royal court, but this is a particularly a Jungian tarot card. Okay, so it's slightly different. It's not the page or the knight, but we had the Princess of Swords. Okay, so let's see what this could mean. To me, this is speaking of the connection that I was saying. There is an ability of yours that you're aware of but couldn't put words to, and it's beginning to emerge, or has already begun to emerge, as something mystical but balanced and harmonious. Okay, there is ritual in your life, or if there isn't yet, maybe introduce some ritual into your life, could be beneficial for you. Okay, so become aware of that. It could even be allowing yourself to fully manifest or embody the spiritual conscious awakening that is occurring within you, allowing that growth to happen. The Two of Cups is illuminating adventure for me. It's adventurous. Okay, so there is potential for travel here. Exploring the spiritual nature of you could involve some travel as well. As also this emotional card is speaking of that heightened sensitivity associated with a spiritual awakening. People become very sensitive to their environments, to their surroundings, to people's, to energies, and to other dimensions of wisdom. And they have begin to have more access to wisdom. So this is an increased heightened sensitivity to that. So in relation to these two cards, okay, this here is speaking to your external persona that you may feel inclined to show the rest of the world, because this is the controlling daughter. Okay, so this is forward facing. The daughter is an orderly young woman who keeps her feelings under control. This is what that means. Okay, this is what this card represents. Keeping your feelings under control, which is an interesting dynamic when we compare it to what is actually going on, this transformative, this awakening process that's happening, this increased sensitivity. There may be a case where you feel like you have to outwardly project control, stability, which may be an interesting experience for you. I would be aware of the repercussions of this, though, because if taken to the extreme, there could be a real controlling element to this archetypal behavior that could even dominate and control others around her, so as to protect that sensitive aspect. So just be aware of that. Are you controlling other people in order to resist or expose or show the world your true spiritual sensitive side? All right, now let us look a little bit more in context and see if we can draw another card for this. So I just want to add another element that see what may tie in to all of this insight of the background context, some of the struggles here, the emergence of a higher consciousness, and how that is now manifesting in your life or will be manifesting in your life, and also to be aware of right now here today. Let's see what the Seven of Cups has to say. For me, what's coming through here is obstacles. This is the archetypal meaning of this card, is obstacles. So personal interactions with other people, potentially obstacles of finance as well. So we mentioned here travel, and the obstacles of finance could be signified there. The cost of going somewhere, potentially. This can be quite stressful for you. This may be quite stressful for you in relation to the obstacles, the blocks, let's say. And I think for me, what I'm drawing here, this connection here, past responsibilities associated with the family, the parents, potentially father, maybe the relationship to the blocks there, okay, financial blocks, emotional blocks, rooted in the family dynamics. I think that's what's showing up for me there. That would be on the shadow aspect of this, okay? So the shadow aspect is the financial constraints or the judgments of the parents, or having to rely on the parents financially could be causing blocks. Or on the light side of that is the financial provisions of the parents, of the family, may enable the travel to happen. So that could also be the significance of that. So what I'd love to do now is bring in the element of the Nordic rune, and to see what more information we can gain from this. Okay, and so this rune is the rune of Anzus. Anzus is symbolizes divine inspiration. Okay, so this is divine inspiration and revelation. So again, the divine child, divine revelation, inspiration, and this is this awakening experience that's happening, ecstasy almost. In the positive aspect of the card, which this isn't the positive orientation, this is the shadow aspect. So that's interesting. Let's start with that first, actually. So in the negative aspects, it indicates an inability of understanding. So there's an element of confusion. Okay, so maybe associated with some of the blocks, there may be some resistance to this awakening of consciousness. okay, and stepping over into this other more conscious aware state, more sensitive state, there could be some blocks in understanding what's going on, some frustration from that potentially. Um, it could be a tendency to talk too much about it in your confusion. Okay, so be careful who you talk to, and I would advise cautious caution with your words, and particularly in relation to others and potentially your parents. Okay, blockages again is coming up though. This is essentially pointing, literally pointing to the card of the archetype of obstacles. Okay, so it's this for me. This rune is reinforcing what we discovered earlier about the obstacles. Okay, and that's very interesting to me in its negative aspect. So again, family blocks blocking this process from happening potentially. On the positive aspect of this, it would be mastery of words actually, and learning to really express yourself, and maybe that is something that will come in the future. In particular, to relation to your outward facing persona, how you navigate this experience for yourself and how you present it to the world, maybe a good culmination to eventually embody that and carry that authentic through line through of wise, inspired spiritual person with words and mastery. But I think first this blockage has to be overcome. And that will conclude the reading for today. Thank you so much for trusting us and for showing up here. I hope this was useful for you. And don't forget to drop a crown in the comments to let us know if you found this insightful. Hello and welcome. Card number 3. Today's reading. What it is that you need to know at this time. What is the one thing that you really, really would benefit from knowing at this time? We're going to start by putting aside the rune, the Nordic rune, and we'll refer back to that towards the end of the. We'll refer back to that towards the end of the reading. But for now, let us begin by commencing this lay with 3 cards that are going to offer us context of what has been, what has happened in the past, to illuminate where you're coming from, some of the contextual elements of that. Okay, so we're first going to start here with the 10 of Wands. So we're going back here, but we're not going back too far. Sometimes with these readings, we go right back to childhood and it's very obvious, it comes screaming through. But I think this one, we're going to begin with a recent past. And the 10 of Wands is all to do with control over others. That could be in a managerial position or even as a CEO, director, etc. Careful and deliberate management of others in a structured group. So in the context of this organizational structure that you potentially are in charge of or definitely have an important role within, there is the feminine element here. There is, I see someone who may be described as affectionate but self-protective, not letting her vulnerability show too much, in particular in context of the work environment. Doesn't, it's like you don't really let people into your world that often. You can be quite a secretive person in the personal space, in your personal context. But you're not shy of having fun. You can be a fun person to be around. There's no doubt about that. And so let us now look at the magician, alchemical processes. This is a major arcana. For me, this is illuminating and pointing towards the alchemical process of creating balance and harmony. We notice the 4 elements at play here. But from a Jungian psychological perspective, this is really speaking of the opposites, in particular, the dynamics between masculine and feminine, and how each of us have a masculine and a feminine within us. Men have the anima, women the animus. And for you here, it's talking about a discovery or an exploration potentially, a curiosity or an imbalance that may be occurring as a result of an unhealthy relationship to your masculine. There could be that you don't like certain aspects associated with the masculine structure found in the organization potentially. There could be some frustration there. So this card is really calling out for you to go inward and explore your relationship to the masculine and how it may be potentially manifesting in the real world, or the external world, should I say. And I just want to sort of emphasize the power of this card in this context. For women, this is the most important card in the deck. Okay. For men, it's the High Priestess, and again, it's pointing at that essential process of maturity, of individuation, of integrating the opposite sex into our psyche, so as to have a more harmonious, more balanced experience of life. Really pointing towards a woman's whole quest of for self-discovery. That's what's encapsulated in this, the animus, the magician. Okay, so let us now look forward to what is on the horizon of this thing. What is this one thing to know? And interesting, two major female arcanas that are coming through. Ooh, interesting. A very passionate card, a very emotional. The Nine of Wands and anger. But first, let us look at this context. And I think this is tying in beautifully here to what I was saying. This is an inward exploration, a self actualizing journey that is being invited to occur here. There is this coming together again, this the star, the virgin daughter. This is a dynamic archetype. Okay, this is a magical figure, its simplicity and its beauty. It speaks to me of this virgin state of consciousness, this innocence. Um, this is going to be a new exploration of your inner world in relation to integrating the masculine here. The star. It's about consciousness. It's new, and it's pointing towards your inner brilliance and your inner potential. And I would encourage meditation as a process, as a ritual, some meditative practice, something that resonates for you, okay, that you may feel aligned to. The meditative practice, and in particular to this um, emergent higher consciousness that is wanting to come through. Now we look forward to the next card, Justice. And this is a very unforgiving card, and it's the mother. It's the mother who punishes and rewards. She's casting judgment on our soul, whether it's light or heavy, light or dark, and can cast judgment. Um, there may be a link back, an association here to your own. This actually could be your own judgment of yourself, um, in relationship to maybe some resistance to actually allowing this consciousness to flow and to merge, to receive higher wisdom. There may be some resistance here. This may be self-judgment to yourself. Although this isn't the judgment card, there could be some harsh punishments that you're giving yourself. That's what's coming through for me here. This here, the reason I say that is because I'm steered by anger. The Nine of Wands here speaks of anger, but they're also, to me, This links back to the structure, the masculine structure that we have here, and your dominance or control of that may be in conflict to the more spiritual aspect of what's coming, this awakening experience, this moment, maybe in contrast to the rigidity of the structure or the masculine structures. There could be some anger at your own masculinity, some resistance to that, and you may be judging yourself for it. So in all of this, I would say there is some meditative practices to be had, to contemplate, to be with, and to be less judgmental. I want to draw another card now. I want to see what else we can reveal in the context of this. Okay, Prince of Wands. So the Prince of Wands is the affectionate son, archetypally, but he is sensitive to feelings of those around him. Okay, so there is an element of sensitivity being encouraged here for me. He hates to be tied down as well, to anything or anyone for too long. Very free in his way of being, and so this to me is encouraging a certain young masculine approach to this entire situation. Okay, so hold this whole experience lightly. There may be some opportunity for you to be a little bit of a daydreamer. This role over here in the organization has kept you very physical in the material plane in many ways, in the structure of it. But allow yourself just to, again, the dreaming aspect of this character is for me pointing towards something that may be needed for you to integrate this spiritual awakening of you integrating your animus. It may point to that meditative practice that I said earlier that may benefit you during this whole process. Okay, let us now bring in the rune card and let's see what it has to offer in a way of more detail. So this rune is Rido. This rune is called Rido, and it stands for true and just law, so justice, surprisingly, and order arising out of justice, which is interesting to me. Uh, Again, I didn't mention earlier, but this card is the only card in the Arcana and the Jungian deck that is indoors. There is, an indication of a church here, but it doesn't have to be a church. It could be an inward, a place of ritual. It could even be a yoga studio, but that's what it speaks of there. And so, justice. This rune is truth, insight. It also mentions insight, which I think will come again from a practice of meditation. Maybe join a group to learn to meditate if you don't know already. A yogic practice potentially. So in the positive aspect of this card, which is what this is, the upright aspect, the light aspect, it signifies clarity. So there is clarity to be had in what's to come. Clarity is on its way. Consciousness of natural and right processes, for example. Again, the practice is coming into mind here. Enlightenment also is something that's coming to me. Overall, is access to inner guidance, I would say, is the prevailing message here. There is going from this rigidity of controlling of the group, of the organization, an awakening experience, an imbalance that you are sensing that you may not have been able to put words to, transitioning into a practice of meditation, of coming together, of consciousness, newness, in that experience, navigating the anger associated potentially with either the process or existing rigid structures that may seem in juxtaposition to your current experience, but that with this light sense, holding things lightly, curiosity in the practice, I think you're going to experience increased clarity in this future thing that is coming your way and what may be worth you knowing about today. And so that concludes the reading. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you gained some insight from it. And as always, thank you. And don't forget to drop a crown in the comments to let us know if you found this insightful. Okay, welcome. Card number 4 to this. You're reading about what is the one thing that you need to know at this time. And so to begin with, we're going to set aside the Nordic rune for now, and we will refer back to it for added context towards the end of the reading. We'll just put that to one side. And let us begin first with the draw of these 3 cards, starting with the card of death that many people have various relationships to that when it comes up. But as always, it's never meant to alarm. It's nothing to be afraid of. Like life isn't anything to be afraid of. It's all part of the process. And so let us dive into this as a context. Our first 3 cards that we're drawing here are going to be in regards to the past, into where this thing that you need to know about, where it's coming from, just to add a bit of context really for the sense of a journey to appear, and to understand how the thing that is worthwhile you knowing at this time, how it sits in the context of what has come. So death, the archetype actually is the mother as the gateway. Okay, so this straight away can be a relationship to your mother, or your motherhood. It could be a pregnancy. It could be something that is essentially what was before, leaving behind, and a transition happening, okay, to something better, a newness, a new bridge, as depicted here. This is a big event, a big transition. So there's a transitionary moment that is occurring here. As we transition over the water that we see here, symbolizing consciousness. Okay, and obviously the element of time tying into that moment of transition in one's life. Now, interestingly, we've got the 2 young court cards of cups here, Prince and the Princess. So let's first let's first look at the Prince and see what he has to say. And what's coming through for me at this stage is that, he's a very charming, emotional, and romantic individual. This could be either children for you or brothers and sisters. Maybe children, as the mother as the gateway is coming to mind. In relation to the Princess of Cups is the ambitious daughter. This could be. This could actually this looks like, to me, this could be yourself. This is, you're an ambitious young person with executive skills for business. You can be extremely calculating and shrewd, but as it's the emotional cards of cups, you do have a sensitivity to your feelings, in particular those around you. This could also be an indication of a transitional moment from your the younger aspects of yourself, and stepping through the mother portal into what's to come, and what is maybe indicating as to what it is that you need to know at this time. So let us draw those cards now. Again, major arcana coming through. All right. So the first card, the lover. The lover is a harmonious balance of masculine and feminine energies. That's what that represents there. And this harmonious integration is related for me to this separate, in the separate cards, the man and the woman, the young man and the young woman. It seems there is a reconciliation within yourself, higher consciousness, that is being experienced here, which is a very powerful card in the context. Remembering this is a transition for you. There is the Princess of Wands. Again, the young, youthful Princess of Wands here. There is an element of wanting to be at the center of attention. This is what this card can sometimes signify. It's also known as the clever daughter. Um, it could be the birth of a clever daughter, or a birth in general of a daughter. There can be a significance there. The Four of Swords speaks of imagination. The element of air is associated with swords. It's our visualization, imagination, our creative daydreaming, if you like. So, being the center of attention, maybe you're carrying a vision. Potentially, you are birthing a harmonious creation that is going to get a lot of attention. That is something that comes through to me. I would say that the idea, the thing, the imagination, there is something that you've come up with. There is an idea that you have, and it may be time for this transition to occur, for it to actualize. It's a very harmonious card that supports that. and the Princess of Wands wanting to be the center of attention. There could be something that needs to be seen on the back of this idea that you're having or have had. Let us draw another card just to get us a bit more context for that. Okay. To me, this is directing, influencing, suggesting that a father figure in your life may need to be, you may need to seek counsel with them. There is a legacy to the structure of their kingdom that may be worthwhile learning from or listening to as you begin to birth and create this idea, this new thing. There is the wand here of creation and destruction with the sword. But definitely there's a father figure to be consulted. That's how I see that. Is it may be worthwhile you contemplating and thinking about that as to who may play that role in your life um, as the great father. Who is the great father in your life, and what may he have to give you or support you with? Let us now bring in the rune and see what else this plays in, and see what else this rune has to offer. This is the rune Gebo. Gebo. And this rune is the embodiment of generosity, hospitality, giving as well. This is the card of giving. Okay, so this may play, this may add significance to and color what may be an idea here. Um, Gibbo was also the rune of mystery of sexual union for the purpose of initiations into runic knowledge. Okay, but so sexual union, initiation, motherhood, transition. There's some elements there that are significant. It could also, mean in the positive aspects, ecstasy as well. But again, union is the big thing for me there. Abundance, generosity. It could even be a wedding. Hospitality, as I said, is in there. I really love in the harmony that's coming through. These two cards speaking greatly of a harmonious reality. And yeah, so this card is in its upward facing. We know this by the darker marks are always on the left and the runic cards in this particular deck. So we know this is, isn't it, in its light orientation, not negative. The negative would suggest blockages, some sort of failure, envy, that kind of those kind of things. But inhospitability, such as the opposite of hospitality, which was coming through for you. But I think, yeah, the big takeaway is harmony and the transition, not forgetting to consult an elder man, a wise man in your circle as to regards to the idea, the imaginative, visionary idea that you're having, and really allow yourself to be guided by harmony. What is harmonious, balanced, yin and yang? Okay, um, your idea will get the spotlight as well. Remember that. And so that will conclude the reading for today. I hope you found that insightful and useful. And thank you as always. And don't forget to drop a crown in the comments to let us know if you found this insightful.